Welcome to this edition of the Bookers Unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Last week we had a lot of fun, y'all. We enjoyed ourselves with the topic last week. We were talking about marriage and the differences that we had and how we overcame them and why we're still together.
Yeah.
We had an interesting time. How was it for you?
It was good. It was good. We shared a lot of things that we've never shared with the public before. So it's us unfiltered, just shared a lot about her marriage and how the transitions and the many transitions that we had. And it was unfiltered. We were honest, we were vulnerable, and we were truthful. So it was good conversation.
I thought it was dope. And
Yeah.
then out of that, I think there's a lot of like it spawned conversation, and that's the thought that we would like this to do. We would like to spawn conversation, give you an inside look of something that people don't often talk about, right? And so it spawned a lot of conversation with us, and we feel like there's so many conversations that we can have off of that conversation. So that conversation was really part one. There's so many other parts and so many pieces that we can go into and to have its own conversation. So
Yeah.
more to follow on that topic.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
feel like that's something that we can dive back into. But before we do, we want to tackle something new this week. So,
yeah.
what is going to be, babe?
So today we're going to talk about the kiddos, right? Have you grown in how you discipline the kids? Well, we call them the boys, right? We got boys. Have you grown in how you discipline the boys, and what did it look like? What does it look like now? Um,
Oh, wow. Whew. What does it look like now,
yeah,
disciplining our boys?
yeah.
Oh, you know what? We didn't even introduce ourselves. Go ahead.
I'm Kenny,
And I'm Davina.
and it's the Bookers Unfiltered. Like, what are we backwards? We're going backwards.
No, we're not. We're not going backwards. What do you do? Like,
We're not gonna do this every week.
we're not.
No, we're not. Like they can. This is not the first. The first is over.
Y-
Check us out on the last video where we introduced ourselves. Check us out.
Anyways, the question is, how do I discipline the boys? Well, now versus when they were younger.
Yeah, so let's start back in the day. Ooh, ooh. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I can't stand. Oof. All right. So, yeah. Let's start back.
Please
Let's
don't do
start.
that.
It's gonna die.
Okay,
He
okay,
came
okay,
here to
okay.
die. All right. So, uh, let's go backwards. Let's go backwards. Let's start out back in the days. Let's start out with once upon a time we
Mhm.
were this type of disciplinarian, this
Mhm.
type of parent to the boys.
Mhm.
How are you?
When they were younger, I was more of a nurturer.
Mm-hmm.
More of feeding into them emotionally and pouring into them and helping them grow and navigate certain things, emotions and whatnot. I would discipline, but it came with more of a nurturing
Hmm.
discipline. Allow letting them know what was done that should have been done differently, but giving it with love.
So
Well,
that sound. I mean, it sounds something like a pushover, right? So you were the one that was that they
don't
went to for a
don't
yes.
don't don't
Am I?
don't
Is that
no.
is that
I
fair?
was not a pushover. I was their mom.
Ooh,
I was their
yeah, you were
mom.
definitely their mom. I mean, I'm not taking. I can't take that away. I'm just saying, were you the one that they went to for a yes?
Of course, I'm
Uh,
their mom.
that's
They're coming to me for
enough
yes
said.
because I was the understanding, reasonable one.
Okay, shots fired, right? You see that, right?
Yes,
All right.
shots fired. I
Um,
was the pushover. Yes,
yeah,
I was the understanding, reasonable one.
I, however, was I was the I was the fun parent,
Oh,
right? Well, let's just call a spade. Trump. I got the Joker.
oh goodness gracious.
I was the fun parent, the one that would do all the things. I'm a big kid with my kids. I would do all the things,
I would
but
agree. You're a big
but
kid.
I'm not finished. So I would also uh, I would also I would also be the disciplinarian. I'm a bull in the ring when it comes to disciplinarian. But back then it was more about wanting to make sure that my kids I wanted them to make sure they were falling in line. I wanted them to have fun, express themselves, and all of that. But what I say goes. And when I said something, that's what I said, and you heard what I said, and I don't need to have to repeat myself, and I'm not gonna repeat myself. And did you hear what I said? Like so that was the type of father that I was. And the conversations that we're having recently makes me understand some things about my boys, but that's how I started my fatherhood, as that type of disciplinarian, that type of um, just the bull in the ring. I didn't leave room or space
Yeah.
for uh, opinion, and that's not always. That was more or less when there was periods of uh when we didn't I wouldn't say see eye to eye because they're my kids, right? There was no see eye to eye. You are my children. It's more as a do as I say, but I didn't lead that way with my family in every instance, and so there was room for them to grow and to feel how they wanted to feel. But when things got tight and when there was a disconnect with what was expected, I made sure to course correct, and there was no back and forth. There was no room for much opinion when I had to lay my foot down. And that's
Yeah.
how I came off when I was in my young
Yeah.
fatherhood.
In your young fatherhood.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like that. But I think what was missing then was a balance between that and um, having compassion or understanding
Hmm.
that,
That's
yes,
fair.
what you say go, but there wasn't any room for negotiation, lack of a better word, but there wasn't any room for grace. That's the word. There wasn't any room for grace for understanding that they were little kids, and little kids, they're going to make mistakes, and you know their understanding is not ours. And I
Yeah.
believe there wasn't enough grace from you in certain instances.
Yeah. I see, and I agree and disagree. Right.
Okay.
Where I agree is it was like that sometimes, but where I disagree is what you I feel like didn't leave room for is the relationship that I had with them that was independent of you. Like it didn't our relationship didn't include you individually. We had a relationship, and so I talked to them differently than you talked to them. I connected with them differently than how you connected with them. So when I said something to them in a certain kind of way, sometimes that was our communication that you didn't understand, that was a little bit misconstrued. It doesn't negate your point, because there were times where it just didn't give room, and I get that, and I agree. But there were times where it seemed like it wasn't, but that was just kind of our little playful way of talking, or just the relationship that we had, where I can say something to them, they not take it any kind of way, because they know that's just our relationship and how we dealt with each other, and that was growing and building, and I think sometimes you didn't give room for that because you saw one thing, and it was me being strict and stringent, and you didn't see room for that. But in essence, it was really kind of taken away from the relationship that I had with them. It's more than it was how I was
Okay. And I can
disciplining them.
discipline in them. Okay. And I can agree at some point, sometimes that did happen. Um, However, sometimes when I saw things that you didn't see, and I would come to you and express those things, you had a difficult time actually hearing
Yeah,
what I had to say.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I, Go ahead. I have a thought. But go ahead.
No, no, I'm just saying
No,
it
yeah,
was sometimes I had valid points where it was like, you could have approached that a little differently. You could have been a little bit more sensitive to that situation and not
mm,
so like, just full bull-ish in those moments.
yeah. I think there were times though that in those moments, you ever felt like, and I'm not talking to you. You ever felt like um new father? How many of you fathers out there could relate? I got a new baby. You got you in a unit with your baby's moms at the time. That's what she was to me. And y'all have an idea of how you want to raise your kiddo.
I don't think we
Um,
had any idea of how we wanted to raise Weston. We had no clue.
Thank you.
just, I'm just saying. Okay, sorry,
You got that out.
I did.
All right. So here we are, going off into our newness, our new normal.
Yeah,
And you have a mom who's a little overzealous,
overprotected.
and before life has begun, she knows all. She's a new mom, like you're a new dad, but she knows how it should be.
I
Don't
just
talk
knew
over me.
how. It was
But
just
yeah,
this
you, my
instinct.
point, my
Okay,
point. You just knew how.
I
Yet,
just knew.
yet you have not. You've been a mother for as long as I've been a father. Yet you knew what all the things were that needed to
I did.
happen.
I
And
did.
poor old dad, I'm clueless. I didn't carry a baby, and mind you, I had two babies, and I didn't feel a drop of pain in
Of
childbirth.
course
By
you
the way,
didn't.
I'm
I
just
did.
saying,
I felt
all
it
fathers
all.
unite. I'm just saying, I didn't feel they be. It's a myth that childbirth pain. Come on now, stop it, cut
Oh
it out.
my goodness.
Anyway, um, like so, there was nothing that I could like. There were times when I had an opinion that was very logical, and because you felt otherwise, it
Yeah.
negated how I felt because you knew all, and it's like nah. I started getting tired of that approach because now I got a voice in this matter too. I got an opinion here too, and you don't know no better than I do, really. And so that built early because there were too many instances of you knowing all and me knowing nothing because I didn't have to carry the baby, even though he came from me. I'm just saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
I carried the baby. I didn't care. I carried him for a lot longer than you did. I'm just saying. Um, you know. And at the
You
end of
carried him for a lifetime,
I
didn't you?
did. It took a lifetime to birth this boy. You talking about 9 months? Give me the crying, man. Cut it out. All right. But at the end of the day,
Oh my goodness.
you knew more than I knew, and it's like that affected
It did.
it affected how I approached it when you had an opinion because it's
It
like
did.
I don't want to hear your opinion because your opinion it dismisses mine.
It did.
And so
It
I
it
yeah,
it 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 did. I was that parent where I knew it all. Um and I didn't give him. I know. I'm agreeing with you. And I didn't give him room to be a parent. Um and and I look back now, I don't know why. It could have been issues that I have in regards to trust. And trusting that someone else can. Ooh, did you
stay still, stay still.
don't and what was I saying?
I don't know.
So yeah, so I agree. I didn't give you any room. I didn't give you any leeway to be a father. I knew it all, and I'm going to protect this baby from everyone, and that's just
Right, and
yeah,
so from
yeah.
that came it over time it created a feeling in me, and over time that I identified with that became my new identity to protect my opinion and all of that. And so I think eventually what you felt was my opinion and my outward protection of my identity by what you identified as the all-knowing parent.
Mhm.
And I just didn't know because I didn't carry the baby for and you know I mean we've already clarified that I carried the boy longer than you.
Yes, you did.
But you carried him, and so because you had a stint with carrying him, you knew better. And so, look, here's the question then.
Mhm.
So, we've established the type of disciplinarian you are
Mhm.
and the type of disciplinarian I am.
Mhm.
But how have you grown in your disciplinarianship?
Well, I'm still the mom, so
Duh.
naturally, and you're still the dad. Naturally, don't look at me like that. Anyways, naturally, I still have the nurturing spirit. I still want to pour into them and all that stuff. But I had to learn that as they grew, that I had to become more firm with what I said and how I said it. Um, because they knew me as the nurturing one and the one that, well, I wouldn't say coddle in a way, but will want to talk about things and have them express how they feel. Ah, got him. Okay, good job.
I'm sorry. I didn't get him.
You're interrupting
Uh,
my train of thought. Leave the fly alone. Let the
oh,
fly
okay.
be. Okay,
What happened to
here we go. But anyways, I was saying, babe.
yeah, yeah. Yes.
I was saying. So yeah, over time, I had to develop some fortitude in my authority with them. As they got older, I had to, especially when Kenny wasn't home, with him being deployed. And come on, babe, come on.
I, I'm listening. When I
Yeah.
was deployed,
Don't. Did you get it?
you were saying, why are
Okay.
you stopping?
Um. So yeah.
I
So
was deployed,
you were
especially when I was
deployed,
deployed.
especially when you were deployed. It was just me and them. So I had to be the mom and dad in those instances. So I had to learn how to be nurturing, but at the same time be firm and establish ground rules and establish that, when I say something, you guys need to listen. So I had to grow in that space.
Yeah, I
I had to
remember
grow
those
in that
days. I
space.
remember I used to have to tell you, look, you can keep talking to them. Like I never had like so Davina had it like, and I guess moms could relate. I talked to my boys one time and action. Hey, y'all need to go do action. It ain't no keep talking to the. I didn't have that problem. When I said it got going. Davina would talk and then talk again and then talk again, and now she's calling him back, and it's like, yo, I would come home from deployments and I would just watch because I don't want to come home and be the boogeyman. So I come home and I would just watch, and I'm just watching them, and after a while I'd be like, hey, y'all heard your mom, and it's just action. I don't. So I was telling Davina, you gonna have to, all this talking gonna have to come to a point where talking is enough. Like it's time to get about it. Like what are you gonna keep talking to him? It ain't giving you the results. And she, no, I'm gonna keep talking to them, and I should do that. And so after a while, that's how you talk to. After a while,
You're funny
she
today. You are funny today.
I'm feeling good. And so after a while, she would realized that nah, I can't. And then she started putting her foot down a little bit more, started tapping that. But you didn't beat him, did you?
No.
Nah, she was scared. Hey, but after a while, she put her foot down,
Yeah, it wasn't
and
going. They weren't. I mean, it beating them wouldn't have helped. They're not. They're my our boys. Actually, our boys are very good boys.
I did not spare the rod when they were younger.
You, you talking like you beat the. You
I
didn't.
didn't. I
You
spanked
didn't.
it. I spanked
Yes,
them a
yes.
couple of
We tapped
times.
them a couple of times on the boot, but beating them like
No,
they
I didn't.
were.
I didn't have to
Yeah,
pull off a belt,
no.
and I stopped doing that when
Yeah.
they was younger. But all right, so through time for me through time I had to, like, I couldn't always be the hammer, right? I had to learn, and you would tell me over and over again, but I was really dismissive
Oh
of
gosh,
some of your
so very
opinions because
dismissive
I didn't.
because you didn't.
You were saying,
Go ahead.
oh, it's Mac. Oh,
Yes, it's your go.
um yo, so I was dismissive of you a lot of the times, and a lot of it had to do with just how I was feeling about you that period of time, or how I was feeling with how you would retort, or would be protective of me, and it just kind of made me in I don't know, it just made me feel like I needed to um
Stand firm and get.
yeah, it's almost like
Yeah.
I rebelled almost.
Yes.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
You were.
but
Yeah, yeah. You did rebel.
now that I'm thinking about it, that's what it felt
Yeah.
like. I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I've went through that stage, and grew through that
Mm-hmm.
stage, and this was not an overnight thing. Again, we've been
No.
together for 25 years,
Yeah.
and our oldest is about to be
Transitions.
21 in a month, right? So, over the course of time, I grew up. I had to grow up, right? You grow up,
Yeah.
but it's what you choose to understand in your growing up. And I was always one to try and make sure my boys were equipped with life, equipped with handling situations. And I used to tell them all the time, if you can't respond to me when I'm getting at you, then this is your practice. If you can't respond to me, then who are you gonna be able to respond to? Because I'm a bull when I'm with my boys when it comes to certain things, but that bull really turned out to be a bully, right?
Yes.
And I never wanted to be that. I never intended to be that. It was just the outcome of my approach to them. And I didn't even realize that really back then. I was really just being
Yeah.
dad,
And it's
um,
crazy.
because I thought it was always good for the kids to have a healthy fear in their fathers, and,
Yeah.
and I think that's still good, but
But
it was more of a fear than it
yeah, it
was a
was a
healthy
healthy
fear.
fear.
So
And I'm glad you brought that up because in you trying to teach them how to advocate for themselves, with them advocating with you, you were such, like you said, a bully, that they feared you. So it was hard for them to even speak up for themselves. So it
Right.
was really detrimental to
Right.
them to actually, it wasn't teaching them how to be an advocate for themselves. It was teaching them how to be afraid.
Right. And you said something that kind of segues us into how do you discipline now? What have you learned from your past?
Yeah.
So what is different now for you? And do you have any recollections or revelations about what you do now differently?
What is different for me now? It's not that I didn't allow them to tell me how they feel and to open up and express themselves, but I think what's different for me now, they're not little boys anymore.
Hmm.
So they're,
That means you getting old. You
yeah,
were
me
saying? I'm
too.
sorry.
You too.
Uh,
They're
wa-
not little boys
Watch
anymore.
your mouth.
So could you stop interrupting my train of thought?
Yes.
Thank you. So for me, it's more not it's more not being a mom, but more being someone that they can confide in, and not like responding right away, but actually listening and listening to their reasoning, and then asking probing questions, and not saying, well, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you need to do, but more like asking probing questions so they can learn to make decisions for themselves and not me deciding for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I think I've learned the most, and like we went to a mindset retreat a couple weeks ago with the Wealth Creators group that we're a part of, and
Shout out to
I
all
love no doubt shout
creators.
Marvin, Sasha. So
Co-
I and Tam, I think not just then, right? During the couple weeks ago that we went to Atlanta for that. Before then, I realized that I always wanted them to be able to be self-sustaining, right? I want them to be able to cook for themselves. My boys cook like I cook, right? I wanted them. My youngest he's a baker. He just like I never let him bake from a box. He always bakes.
yep.
My oldest get in the kitchen and roll the sleeves up with me. Well, I they always like we'll get together. Davina's spoiled. Don't let her sit here. She's spoiled. Like she got a
No, no,
house full
no.
of men that
I'm not spoiled. I am loved. Yes.
so uh they are my boys, right? They cook, they get down, but they also know how to clean for themselves, wash their own clothes. They how to get their own
Self
money.
sufficient.
Yeah, they self sufficient. They they know how to navigate. They know how to get themselves to. They know how to get themselves to the airport, the train station. They can get around and do things, and that was my desire for them because I know how it was when my parents raised us. We were able to do the same. My brother Dre, me and my brother Dre, when we went back to New York, we were always we could fit in anywhere. We could adapt no matter where we were. And I always wanted that for my boys to be able to see a situation, adapt, be cognizant of what's going on around them, and all of these things. So it was always a desire of mine. What I realized after going to this the
The
place we called
place.
it, after going to the place, what it made me realize is, and this was just this weekend, we were having a conversation with the boys. Like it's not just about um, making sure that they can uh, know how to act and how all of these things. But being at home is the opportunity that your children have to learn how to go into the world, how to present themselves to the world in all facets, table manners, how to respond to somebody, how to have a conversation when it's not a happy conversation, how to defend themselves, how to step up for themselves, how to speak, how to ask for something. All of these things they learn at home. And one of the things I realized that I was doing when I was younger in my young fatherhood is I was keeping them from expressing themselves, learning how to the gift of learning how to respond in a pressure situation. And how many times do we want to make sure our kids are equipped to be able to respond to somebody in a work situation, in a friendship situation, not cower to somebody's dominance over them, or perceived power, but
Yeah.
to be able to stand on their own and
Stand
be
in
their
their
own
own
person
power.
in the
Yes.
face of,
Yeah.
right? And I want that from my kids, but what I realized is that was what I was taking away from them when they were younger. So we were having a conversation this weekend, and I was proud of myself on how I handled the situation, and changed my behaviors, which ultimately changed the outcome of how I would have responded to my son when he didn't do one of the things that he was supposed to do as far as his chores. It'd have been like rah 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 rah, and it was a little rah, but it wasn't as much as it was, and we gave him an opportunity to speak, and he, because his thought was, and tell me if you've heard this before. It doesn't really matter what I say. You're gonna do, whatever, and that was his thought. But I had to let him know in that moment that it does matter what you say, and what you say matters to any conversation that you would have it with. Don't dim your own light because of the audience that you have, right? And so it was important for him to hear that, but more important for me to hear that from him, and to know. It just helped me understand how I am the narrator in the story for him, and how I'm helping him to build and grow, and understand his, where they are. So it was a good realization for me. And so as a disciplinarian now, I feel like I'm so connected with my boys. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I give them the real, but I give them the why, the who. I allow them to ask questions. We talk about all things,
Yeah.
and we talk candidly. But not only that, Davina and I open our world to them, and so they get to see the decisions that we make as parents, the decisions that we make in finances, all of these different things, and we want them to see that so that they can learn from us, because ultimately that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Teaching them about life. But how are they going to learn about life if all they know is, we pay bills, and we get food, and they got food in the house, and they wind up with clothes and all the things they ever wanted. And how they gonna know about life if they don't see the struggle? How they gonna know about life if they don't see the sacrifice? How they gonna know, right? And so we make sure to show them that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to say, with the conversation that we had with our youngest this weekend, um, there was a moment in time where when he said what he said about, it doesn't matter, it's whatever you say. I had to remind him that no, if you have something to say, you need to say it. So that gave him the space to open up and express how he felt about the consequences, and how he thought about the consequences, which allowed Kenya and I to, have a discussion between us to talk about what he felt about the consequences and what our views were on the consequences, and then, taking that into consideration and making a final decision. And even though the final decision was the decision that was made originally in the conversation, we had the opportunity to take in what he had to say. And then we, called him back into the room, and, and Kenny explained, we heard what you have to say, and we understand, but this is the consequence is the same, and explaining why the consequence is the same, and making sure that he understood why, so that
Which
he
never would have happened before,
so that he can,
quite like that.
yeah, so that he can, understand that his words had, they were valuable, that what he had to say was valuable. So that gave him room to know that, what he has to say, we want to hear what he has to say,
Right,
because it does make a difference.
right, and also teaching them how to accept the consequence for their short steps, right? It ain't all peaches and cream. You do miss the mark, and that's okay. But there's a price to pay for missing the mark, and giving him the why behind that.
Yeah.
It's been a real discussion this weekend. I hope y'all enjoy it. We are growing through our journey. Subscribe
Yes.
and grow with us
Subscribe and grow with us, and we'll see you next week
next
with
week.
a new topic.
Peace.
Peace.